I will apologize to the Filipino people. As of now, the face mask is on. Wala tayong magawa. The face shield. Importantly, the mask. Yun na lang ang pang-kontra ko. Yung first wave, it has depleted really the resources of government. Now, another one would be disastrous for this country. That is why the stricter you are, the better.
That was President Rodrigo Duterte apologizing for government's flip-flopping pronouncements on the face shield policy. Once and for all, the president says the wearing of face shields is still mandatory whether indoors or outdoors.
Adding weight to the decision is the threat of the Delta variant of COVID-19 as government tries to avert another costly wave of infections. Good evening, I'm Gretchen Ho.
And I'm Robbie Alampay. You're watching The Big Story. Let's start with this final announcement that wearing of face shields remains mandatory indoors and outdoors.
The president, who earlier only wanted face shields in hospitals, changed his tune in light of the 17 Delta variant cases in the country. Maricel Hariri has the big story.
I will apologize to the Filipino people that this thing was being discussed openly, and many thought that we were ready to do away with the face mask. Is on. Wala tayong magawa. The face shield. Importantly, the mask. Yun na lang ang pang-kontra ko kasi.
After much confusion, President Rodrigo Duterte has announced face shields remain mandatory indoors and outdoors. Duterte backtracked from his announcement last week. The face shields must be worn only in hospitals.
Yung first wave, it has depleted really the resources of government. Now, another one would be disastrous for this country. That is why the stricter you are, the better.
The president took heed of the interagency task force advice, especially with 17 cases of the Delta variant already detected in the country.
Yung Delta po, as I have mentioned, is 60% increased transmission over Alpha or yung UK variant, which was already 60% increased transmission over the original virus from Wuhan.
To stem the spread of COVID-19, regardless of variant, health experts vouch for the efficacy of face shields in reducing infection.
Meron pong evidence that eye protection, such as face shields, actually are able to reduce 78% infection, such as through the ocular route, which occurs either by droplet or aerosol or self-inoculation.
Dr. Anna Ong Lim of the Technical Advisory Group cited another unnamed study in India where the Delta variant originated. She said 12 of 60 health workers without face shields tested positive after visiting about 6,000 houses. The rest who wore face shields turned out fine even after going to 20,000 houses. For his part, Palace spokesman Harry Roque said there is supposedly nothing wrong in their flip-flopping position as they base new developments on scientific data. For News 5, Maricel Halili, We Are One News.
What can Filipinos expect following President Duterte's decision to retain the face shield policy? Joining us is Dr. Eric Tayag, Director of the DOH Knowledge Management and Information Technology Service. Good evening, Dr. Tayag.
Good evening, Robbie.
Dr. Tayag, this was mentioned at the tail end of that news report. Policy is one thing, but the science behind it is another. Maybe give us a recap or a review. What do we know about face shields? What does the data actually establish face shields do on top of face masks?
In many studies, the face shield was found to be another protection aside from the mask. Surgical masks in other countries, used alone, will give enough protection so that highly transmissible viruses like the SARS-CoV-2 will not spread so much as it should. The added protection from face shields comes from the idea that droplet infection will be halted when we consider that the transmission route would be through the eyes. But wearing face shields alone may not help, Robbie, because you can still inhale the virus because it's not completely sealed. So it's not, there's no complete seal on your face when you just use the face shield. So it's recommended the mask plus face shield plus social distancing and washing hands, all this all together can help, especially if one gets fully vaccinated.
Okay, now Dr. Tayag, of course, this is a hot topic nowadays because alongside this, many people and policymakers are concerned also about the new virus, particularly the Delta variant. What's the latest that we understand now about the Delta variant, and are there any new protocols that people have to consider?
Okay, the Delta variant discovered first in India has affected more than 70 countries. And in the Philippines, so far, there were no reports of community transmission, but that might change in the next few days if the public will not heed the advice of government. And that's one of the reasons why we should maintain protection through using a face shield aside from the mask. The Delta variant is highly transmissible. It's a super spreader. And there are concerns that it may evade the protection we get from the vaccines that we currently use. So there's continuing surveillance, and there's another mutation from this Delta variant, the Delta Plus, the AY 0.1, which escapes the protection from vaccines currently used. So this is a concern from many experts around the world. And exactly how we can protect ourselves is adhering consistently to the health protocols. But whether or not we can prevent this, it will take a community effort so that everybody remains protected. And of course, our biosurveillance should make sure that we're able to get enough samples and find out where they are circulating right now.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Dr. Eric Tayag, Director of the DOH Knowledge Management and Information Technology Service. Some vaccine brands might have reduced efficacy versus the Delta variant, but they can still offer some level of protection. Tonight's big numbers are 88% and 60%. According to Public Health England, 2 doses of Pfizer can still provide 88% protection against the first variant first detected in India. For AstraZeneca, efficacy is still at 60%. When it comes to the Alpha variant first detected in the United Kingdom, Pfizer's protection is at 94%, AstraZeneca's is at 74% protection. The local FDA says studies are ongoing for other brands like Sinovac and Moderna.
These are the other big stories tonight. Jail time for those who refuse vaccination is not possible. The Justice Secretary says no law compels one to get inoculated. Barely 24 hours since issuing Executive Order number 23, Cebu Governor Garcia sets aside the province's protocols for returning Filipinos pending a meeting with the IATF. And is a Robredo-Moreno partnership in the offing for the 2022 polls? The two joined forces for a vaccine drive in Manila earlier today. These big stories after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay. Manila City is back to implementing its preferred walk-in policy for vaccination after giving the appointment system a try with little to show. Mayor Isko Moreno insists it's a matter of sticking to the method that works. Patricia Mangune with this report.
Vaccination centers in the city of Manila had unusually short queues on Monday. This is after Mayor Isko Moreno implemented a no walk-in policy. Only those with confirmed appointments were let in. But this led to a significantly lower vaccination turnout. From a 1,000 daily headcount, it went down to 100 to 300 per site. So in less than 12 hours, Mayor Moreno reversed his order. From 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. last night, walk-ins were allowed again for vaccination. People quickly flocked the vaccination sites.
Hindi namin na-expect na para silang tubig na bumuhos, napuno agad yung aming covered court, ang second floor ng school hanggang third floor. So nag-start kami 5 o'clock, hindi na namin makontrol ang tao.
Manila Mayor Isko Moreno insists the appointment policy just doesn't suit their style.
And scheduling will never, ever work. You have to understand your people. You have to understand your community, their habits, how they adapt to a situation. And that is Manila.
With walk-ins allowed, once again, Manila vaccination sites are keeping busy. Some residents pulled an all-nighter, camping outside vaccination venues on Tuesday. They say they don't mind losing sleep to get their shots.
Talagang magtsatsaga po para 3 a.m. nandito na po kami. May dala kaming bangkuan para naman po, maganda naman po yung palakad nila mula pila hanggang makapasok hanggang makapagpabaksin po.
Kasi kahapon pumunta kami, ayaw daw yung walk-in kaya mas gusto namin ng ganito ma'am para paunaan na lang sa pila.
The City Health Department considers this back to normal, saying lines are still moving despite the length. 2,000 vaccines are allotted for each site per day from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Caloocan City is also implementing a walk-in policy. Residents have to be in line before dawn at the Caloocan Central Elementary School.
Wala po kami internet. Kaya hindi pa ako nakapag-online.
The same goes for Navotas City, with walk-ins filling up the Daanghari Elementary School. The LGU says this system enables them to assist those who are not tech-savvy or have no internet access to pre-register. For News 5, Patricia Mangune. We are One News.
In Cebu, Governor Garcia set aside their protocol on arriving passengers. In a Facebook live post, Garcia said they are foregoing the implementation of Executive Order 23 pending a dialogue with the IATF next week. The EO allows the filing of administrative or criminal charges against local officials who do not adhere to Cebu's quarantine protocols, but she clarified their swab test upon arrival policy stays in place.
The Cebu provincial government will continue to keep an open mind, listen to these technical experts, even as we hope that Secretary Duque and these technical experts will also keep an open mind once they come to Cebu. Observe what is happening in Cebu and listen as well.
Time for an extra's look at some of today's big stories. The Justice Department clarified that there's no law that will get you arrested if you don't get vaccinated against COVID-19. That's after President Duterte threatened those who refuse to receive jabs with jail time. Justice Secretary Minardo Guevara thinks the president merely used strong words to drive the need to get vaccinated. The Philippines is set to receive at least 800,000 surplus vaccines from the United States in July. That's according to Philippine Ambassador to the U.S., Babe Romualdez. Romualdez said the brands would either be Moderna or AstraZeneca. The White House is donating at least 80 million of its excess jabs to the rest of the world. And Metro Manila's daily average number of COVID cases has dropped to 700, according to the Octa Research Group. That's a 15% decrease in the last 7 days. But Octa research also warned there are areas of concern outside the capital, including Davao City, Bacolod, Iloilo, Cagayan de Oro, and Tacloban. And now for the big story in sports. With the 2021 FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers all but behind them, Gilas Pilipinas is now preparing for the Olympic qualifying tournament next week. So what do these next few days look like for Gilas? Find out in my report.
This is the Philippines versus Korea.
After a monumental sweep of their games in the final window of the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers, Gilas Pilipinas is shifting their attention to the Olympic qualifying tournament in Serbia. While the team earned a much-needed rest day, they already have a friendly match lined up against Asian powerhouse China.
We were leaving on the 24th, going straight to Belgrade na sa Serbia na. We have a practice game with China on the 23rd. Konti pahinga lang, back to the grind.
As promised, Kai Soto will still join the team in the tournament. Together with Ange Kwame, Kai will anchor the paint for Gilas, but he will be needing more time with the team to be more dangerous.
Kai is smart, so alam niya yung mga mabilis matuto. Pero it's different when you play with instinct. Konti pa para maging instinctive na siya maglaro.
Gilas forward Carl Tamayo is also expected to recover from his ankle sprain. But all eyes have been on Phil-Am Dwight Ramos as he received plenty of praises from fans. Dwight, who averaged double figures in points during the past 3 games, likewise impressed Indonesian head coach Raiko Toroman, likening him to a European player. But for now, Dwight is not taking his talents anywhere else. What's the big dream?
I just have to wait and see what happens. I don't know. For me, it's just to play professionally. I'm just focused on what I'm doing here, what's in front of me. For now, it's just the national team.
The current Gilas program is showing that long preparations plus an effective system can pay off. And as they continue their campaign in the OQT, the team is looking to improve their chemistry and individual game.
Ano pa yung kailangan i-improve ng team natin?
Offensive rebounds, being tough, and offensive rebounds. We want to focus on the process. Ang focus namin is getting these guys to be ready and become a solid team and to perform well.
The young guns of Gilas have their work cut out for them as they take on Serbia and the Dominican Republic. But like what they have shown in the recent games, these youngsters are capable of big things. Gretchen Hall, We Are One News. Time for another quick break. When we return. From fist bumps to selfies, Vice President Leni Robredo and Manila City Mayor Isko Moreno enjoyed their time during a vaccine drive earlier today. So is a tandem happening in 2022? And could he be lucky number 13? Golfer Juvik Pagunsan becomes the 13th Filipino athlete to make it to the Tokyo Olympics. The details after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay. The Liberal Party says it is currently holding informal talks with potential candidates for the 2022 elections. They want to field a solid ticket under a united coalition. Mian Los Baños with the details.
Is this a foreshadowing of an opposition tandem in 2022? Vice President Leni Robredo and Manila City Mayor Isko Moreno doing an elbow bump, enjoying a chat, and doing selfies. They were at the CCP complex on Tuesday for the Office of the Vice President's Vaccine Express project, inoculating economic frontliners like tricycle drivers and delivery riders.
Nagpapasalamat kami sa Office of the Vice President, kay Vice President Lenny, at sa mga staff nila. Ito talaga, idea nila to na mag-create ng additional effort to help local government units like City of Manila. And we're very grateful with all the logistics given to us by the Office of the Vice President.
We also grateful to the City of Manila. Kasi nung pinupost namin sa kanila, ito agad sila, tapos yung support ang binigay sa amin, all out.
So is this the start of a Robredo-Moreno tandem, considering that both their names are making noise as possible standard bearers?
Hindi natin alam. Maybe I'll retire, she'll retire. That is masyadong far-fetched. No? Dahil what matters most today is yung pandemic.
Napakahalaga na yung nilalapitan ng LGU, hindi 2022 yung Pilipinas. Kasi yung pandemic naman, walang political color ito, diba?
But for the Liberal Party, the goal is to come up with a solid ticket under a broad coalition. This may or may not be led by Robredo.
Yung pagkakaisa na yun ang mahalaga. And in fact, she said she is willing, to go all out in uniting the opposition around one candidate, and it doesn't have to be her.
Other names that figured in the LP's list are Senator Sping Lacson, Nancy Binay, Joel Villanueva, and Mayor Isko Moreno. Lacson said he would need to discuss the matter with Senate President Tito Soto, who is planning to be his running mate. Senator Villanueva is also open to the idea of uniting with the opposition.
It is always good to march with a lot of good people.
For Senator Nancy Binay, some wounds caused by politics need to heal first. For now, the Liberal Party believes they will benefit from the growing rift within ruling party PDP Laban. But as to whether this means adopting Senator Manny Pacquiao should he detach from PDP Laban, the party leader had this to say.
Sabi ko nga, basta sincero na naghahanap ng solusyon sa pinakamatinding krisis na hinaharap ng ating bansa, di ba? Bukas tayong makipag-usap.
Reporting for News 5, Mean Los Baños, we are One News.
Senator Manny Pacquiao has yet to finalize his election plans for next year, but he admits in limiting his options to just 2 positions. Pacquiao told Radyo 5 Ted Filon that he would either run for a second term as senator or aim for the presidency. But a decision would have to wait until after his bout with American boxer Errol Spence Jr. in August.
Kung sakali mang magdesisyon ako, Ted, either senador, may second term ko, or tumakbo sa taas na posisyon, sa pinakamataas, or nothing, or hindi ako tatakbo. Ganun lang yan.
Another big story in sports, golfer Juving Pagunsan has officially qualified for the Tokyo Olympics, becoming the 13th Filipino athlete to do so. Pagunsan qualified after making it to the top 50 among the 60 players who qualified for the Summer Games. Pagunsan is coming off his maiden Japan Golf Tour title romp as he ruled the Mizuno Open in May. And at 43 years old, Pagunsan is the oldest member of the Philippine Olympic delegation, only proving that age is just a number.
Just before Pride Month ends, the Filipino dub of I Told Sunset About You is now streaming on Pop TV PH. The Thai coming-of-age BL series follows 2 childhood friends who drifted apart from each other as they grew up, only to unexpectedly reunite after many years as they struggle to be admitted to a university. As the story unfolds, the two would realize how they're already falling for each other. Lead actors Bilkin Putthipong and PP Crit spoke with News 5 and shared the valuable lessons they've learned during the film.
We cannot rate the value of people by the sex preference. I think we have to change the
attitude. We would like to share this in globally about culture in some perspective that we have to make this as a norm.
In another news on inclusivity, several Filipino singers joined forces in a campaign against Asian hate. The all-star cast includes Lea Salonga, Apple Diap, Marta Rivera, Gary V, and Jed Madela, among many others. In hashtag Stop All Hate, organized by Asia Society, they performed the Rodgers and Hammerstein's 1950 song, You've Got to Be Carefully Taught, a song on bigotry. For 2021, they gave it a new context that would reflect the signs of the times. For News 5, MJ Marfori, we are One News.
The Filipino dub of Flix 13 has had some mixed reviews since it streamed 2 weeks ago, but there are some viewers who are taking it lightheartedly and parodying the dub. Here, TikTok user Thessalonica NM pulled off a Rufa May Quinto. And yes, we're talking about her iconic kittenish inflection. Her hilarious take has garnered more than 800,000 views and 130,000 likes.
Magandang gabi, Captain Guerrero.
Nakapunta ka rito.
Aaminin ko, napaisip ako na lambis.
For another TikToker, Red Malabunga, it has to be the queen of all media, Chris Aquino. In jest, some users noticed that Red's voice resembled that of Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte instead.
Aaminin ko, napaisip ako nung sinabi niyo kung anong nangyari dito. Ang white lady ng Baleta Drive, nakakaloka! Mas importanteng tanong, sino ang papatay sa multo at bakit?
Napanood mo na ba?
Hindi pa. Ikaw napanood mo na?
Napanood ko. Tsaka bukod sa dabi, nakakatuwa because nai-introduce maraming mga batang Pilipino sa mga katang-isip na mga Pilipino na tradisyonal. Yung iba, hindi na nila alam. Mga nuno sa punso, mga ganyan. So, nakakatuwa.
Okay, dapat panoorin ko nga yun. But all this talk and the videos coming out, even with the mixed reviews, is good for actually the movie. Hopefully, they get more Filipinos and to do more collaborations like that.
Yes, and hopefully another thing that people catch yung feature ni MJ Marfori, yung video ng Asia Society Philippines, Stop All Hate, Share Love. Really fantastic campaign by Asia Society Philippines.
Kay Joy ba yun? Okay. That wraps up today's Big Story. Catch us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250.
Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. Mask on.
Wash hands.
And stay safe, Philippines. Ako po si Robbie Alampay.
At ako naman si Gretchen Ho. We are One News. Have a good evening.